بشنو از نی چون حکایت می کند از جدایی ها شکایت می کند.
Good poetry works like a magic spell in that you recite these words and they're combined in a particular way with a particular rhythm.
کز نیستان تا مرا ببریده اند در نفیرم مرد و زن نالیده اند.
That essence kind of casts a spell over people, changes how they feel about something, arouses emotions, makes people want to go fight, or makes people want to go pray, or makes people want to fall in love.
سینه خواهم شرح شرح از فراق تا بگویم شرح درد اشتیاق.
Now, generally, magic spells are not allowable under Islamic law, but poetry is. That's why it's called a kind of illicit magic. You can just say something which will have a profound effect on the psyches of lots of people.
Oludamini Ogunnaike is leading an investigation into the dual nature of Sufi poetry. This mystical art form is both rational and romantic. While other scholars seek to bridge the gap between art and understanding, Dr. Ogunnaike has found that in Sufi poetry, these two things were never separate.
So the title of the project is The Logic of the Birds, in Arabic, mantiq at-tayr. It's a phrase that comes from the Quran, but it refers to this kind of cognitive or noetic aspect of poetry, in that it combines logic, which is something human and constructed and kind of scientific, and birds, which are wild and free. So the gathering we're doing now is at midpoint in the grant. We've got a bunch of different experts, particularly Sufi poetry and Islamic poetry in general. The Sufis are concerned with cultivating a particular kind of direct knowledge of reality and of God that they often compare to tasting, in that it's a direct experiential knowledge of reality that kind of goes beyond mere conceptual or representational knowledge. The first thing we're doing is we're doing a podcast. We have 33 different episodes planned. Some episodes are on an individual poet, like let's say Rumi, who's a very famous poet, or Saadi or Hafez or Ibn Arabi. And in those episodes, we have a conversation with two experts. We also ask about their poetics. How did they write poetry? What did they say poetry did? What is the connection they saw between poetry and knowledge? Then on the basis of that podcast, we'll be producing an edited volume. So we're going to take each episode and roughly condense it down into a chapter, kind of distilling what we're most interested in from that episode. Poetry is, on the one hand, very musical. At a certain sense, it's mysterious and kind of wild, but it's also, especially in the Islamic tradition, very logical. Poetry, in this sense, brings together these two seeming opposites of left brain, right brain, of science and humanities, of cold reason and hot passion, and all of these things are brought together in poetry. When we have a hard time accessing, understanding, grappling with poetry, that's usually a sign that we're having a hard time grappling with, understanding, accessing these deepest truths, these biggest problems, these biggest questions about who we are, what we should be doing, how we should be living our lives.